Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. Well, I'm so excited to welcome you to our first edition for the new week on the Forex Morning Mastery, as we are going to be taking another fresh new look into the market with the hopes of actually replicating the scenarios we manifested during the course of last week's trading session, as last week was one of the most phenomenal weeks for us in recent times. And let's see if we can actually do what we did during the previous week. So, welcome, guys. I'm glad to have you around with me this morning. So, as we get prepared for the new week, I have conducted a comprehensive analysis on three of the major assets which we usually look at, which includes the US All Spot, the GBPUSD, and of course the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And in fact, on all of these assets, I have very simple and of course insightful trading setups that we will be using to guide our trading decisions for today and in fact for the first half of the week. Now, for those of you who have been with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, you definitely must have gotten an update as to how we are going to be managing our positions today. So we are going to be doing a little bit of expansion into what the current structure is saying. Well, today being the first trading day of the week, and as we gradually approach the festive season, there is a likelihood that the liquidity in the market will gradually be thinning out. But the fact that we have some high impactful events for this week, this could still give some hopes and catalyst to price movement. So we will be looking at how we will be positioning ourselves for today's trading session. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, you are highly welcome on board. And I'm very, very excited to have you around with us this morning. I know you will be wondering at this juncture, what is this Forex Morning Mastery all about? And what is it that we simply do during the course of the session? Well, first of all, I usually share a couple of videos during the course of the weekend, which insinuates the my ideas ahead of the new week. So, in preparation for the new week, I do share a couple of videos on my channels to let us have an insight into what we will be looking at. So, the Forex Morning Mastery is born out of the idea of following up on these ideas I shared during the weekend. So it is an opportunity for you to see how we are going to be anticipating the next move on this particular asset. So it is very, very important that you watch this weekend video so that you can have a background knowledge into what we will be talking about here, because during the Forex Morning Mastery, we only focus on the 1 hour time frame. So it will do you a lot of good to have a background knowledge, have an insight into the top-down analysis. And in that regard, we come here together as a community in preparation for both the London and the New York session. And this session usually kickstarts officially 9:05 a.m. West African time, 8:05 a.m. UTC. And my aim here is to equip you with the knowledge and skills necessary to make informed trading decisions independently. Now, the more time you spend with us in this community, the better you will become at comprehending our analytical approach and utilizing the information you gather here to make your own trading decisions and strategies. So once again, I welcome you on board and in fact encourage you to engage in the comment section. So with that being said, here we will be moving right into the next thing on our agenda. So we usually start the week or the day, of course, with the familiarization with the economic calendar, as we do want to keep tabs with the fundamental factors that will be driving the market sentiment for today and of course for this week. Now, what is the importance of checking the economic calendar? Well, by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns on the chart, hereby giving us valuable information needed to position ourselves in such a way that we can capitalize on any potential opportunity prior, during, and even after this economic event. Now, for this week, and based on the asset I mentioned earlier that we will be monitoring for this week, we will be focusing on economic features from both the United States and the United Kingdom. And most importantly, we usually focus on high impactful events. But if you look at the economic calendar this morning, you will see that we do not have any high impactful event, as the impactful event we are looking forward to will only start by Wednesday. So in that regard, I want us to take it a step further to include the medium impact event, as this will give us a little bit of insight into what majority in the market will be looking forward to as a catalyst to guide their trading decisions for today. And if you look at this, for today we only have one, and that is the Bank of England broadband speech, which is coming up in about an hour or two from now. And for those who don't know, Dr. Ben Broadbent joined the Monetary Policy Committee of Bank of England in 2011, and at this point he is considered to be a key member of the MPC, which of course whatever he says today will be giving us an insight into the monetary policy outlook of the Bank of England, and of course give us an insight into the health situation of the United Kingdom. Remember last week we had a positive data from the United Kingdom. Their S&P global publication PMI data came in very, very well, which of course gave us an insight into increased business activity within the UK economy. And in that regard, we have been seeing some bullish traction on the GBPUSD in recent times. So we are going to be looking at how the market is going to be anticipating the speech, and of course see how we will be positioning ourselves for the next move. So for today, Monday, December 18th, this is the only event we look out for. And of course, we do know that the anticipation of this event would reflect on the chart as price action. So talking about price action, let's dive right into the business. And I can see a couple of comments here. I see you, Torres Master. I see you, Simon Bayone. Good morning, guys. I'm very, very glad to have you around with us this morning, and trust you all had a wonderful weekend. So with that being said, let's dive right into the business. And as usual, the first asset we will be looking at this morning is going to be the USOILSPOT. And let me quickly say this. I didn't share anything publicly as regards to my plans on the USOILSPOT for this week. So what we will be doing here today is to do a top-down analysis on this asset. And of course, this will also help you in understanding how to use price action to understand the market structure, and at the same time use it to position yourself for the next big move. So you do want to stay tuned in so you don't miss out on any of the ideas we will be talking about here on the USOILSPOT. I see your comment, Kelechi. Good morning to you too. Glad to have you around with us. So to start with, we will begin from the higher time frame on the USOILSPOT so that we can have an holistic perspective into what is really going on in this market. So what I did on the USOILSPOT was to start my analysis from the 4 hours time frame. Now on the 4 hours time frame, is it on the 4 hours time frame or daily time frame? Let me check quickly. Okay, I think it's on the 4 hours time frame. So I started my analysis. I think it's on the daily time frame, of course. Let me look at this quickly. Okay, it's on the daily time frame I started my analysis. And if you look at what is going on the daily time frame, what I did here was to take into consideration the nature of price action in the last 3 to 4 months. That's from September till this present moment. And it is quite clear that the market has been on a bearish momentum. And to further emphasize this bearish momentum, we have a couple of descending trend lines after connecting the series of lower high during the space of this 3 months. And as you will see, this is my temporary one. And of course, I have the major one right here. So you know how we use our trend lines, of course. As long as price action remains below the descending trend line, we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of selling this asset. However, something interesting began to unfold about a couple of weeks ago. As you will see, if I zoom into this current structure, you will see that despite the strong bearish momentum, price was unable to break through the $68 area, which for me is a sign that buyers are gradually gaining momentum behind the scenes. And with the way things are going, it is very, very likely that we look out for reversal setup, bullish opportunity, as the fundamental factors behind the scenes here is tending towards a recovery in US oil prices. And what do I mean by that? Now, if we look at the fundamental aspect of the WTI, that is the oil prices, there are quite a lot of factors that are driving the market sentiment behind the scenes. Now, I have a couple of them here. I think I have 3 or 4 reasons why this is so. Now, to start with, crude oil prices find support from the Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak's statement on Sunday, I think during the course of the weekend, where he mentioned that Russia is considering deepening oil export cuts in December by potentially 50,000 barrels per day. Now, this is aside the 300,000 barrels per day, which was pledged, I think, earlier this month or later last month. And of course, in addition, the adverse weather condition in Russia have contributed to the support of crude oil prices, as Moscow recently suspended approximately 2/3 of loading from the ports. Now we are already in the winter season, which is of course affecting the weather condition in the Russia axis. Now, if this is going to continue, there is a likelihood that this will disrupt oil supply in the global market. And if there is, what will happen? Of course, your guess is right. The demand for oil will increase because there is shortage of supply in the market. And when the demand for oil increases, what happens? Price will definitely rise. Now, this is one factor that supports the idea of buying. Then the other factors, which is of course another very important one, is the geopolitical situation in the Middle East, which has provided a boost in oil prices. And in fact, the concerns rising due to the Houthi attacks on ships near Yemen is also affecting the potential disruption in oil prices, leading to shipping firms considering avoiding this area. Now, there's another factor here that could skyrocket price of oil prices. Now, another thing here, remember I mentioned, was it not last week or 2 weeks ago, I talked about the bullish forecast from the International Energy Agency, that is IEA, where they said that oil consumption will increase by 1.1 million barrels per day in 2024, contributing to another bullish sentiment in this market. Now, lastly, the US dollar has experienced a nearly 4% weakening over the past 2 months. And what does this mean? Now, a further decline could stimulate oil demand from other countries as it becomes much more affordable to purchase oil at this point. Now, if the US dollar diminishes in value, what this simply means is that oil prices will be cheaper, especially for third world countries or developed countries, and it will be a very good time to stockpile oil in the market. Now, all of these factors you have here is supporting the idea that price is likely going to be climbing to the upside. And of course, these factors has been building up in the last couple of weeks now. Now, with this information, we can begin to see how market participants have been very cautious in making trading decisions in that regard. Now, like I was saying earlier, from a technical standpoint, you will see that as soon as price got into this area, we have been seeing some caution in trading activities as majority stopped selling the US oil spot, and in that regard, people are beginning to see oil prices as cheap enough to buy. Now, to guide our trading decisions for this week, I was able to identify a key level at the $72.50 level, which will be serving as a yardstick to guide our trading decisions for this week. And of course, for those of you who have been with me for a while now, you know how important the key level is and how it plays a major role in determining how we will be positioning ourselves. Now, as long as price action remains below the key level, we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of selling. Now, if price action breaks out of our key level, then definitely we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying that asset. Now, another intriguing thing about this key level is the fact that it also shares a beautiful confluence with those descending trend lines we identified earlier. Now, what this simply means is that if price action ever breaks out of this key level to the upside, it would also have broken out of those descending trend line, hereby fortifying the idea that this trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to negate the bullish attempt. So you can see with all the information we have gathered, both from the fundamental aspect and from the technical aspect, you will see that we are at a crucial juncture in the market where price is currently trading around our key level at the $72.50 level, which could be serving as a neckline of a potential reversal pattern. Now, with this information we have gathered, we want to scale down into the lower time frame where we want to see how market participants have been reacting to this current structure since the beginning of the week, hereby giving us valuable information needed to position ourselves for the next move. Now, scaling down into, before we go into the 1 hour time frame, I want to share something with you on the 4 hours time frame. Now, on the 4 hours time frame, this is the trend line. Of course, price is right. The trend line is very much intact. And right now, if I zoom in, you will see we have the key level very much intact at the $72.50 area. Price is still trading below the key level right now. But one thing you will notice here is that price action has broken out of the temporary descending trend line, and since last week Thursday, price action had remained above that descending trend line, and in fact it has formed a consolidation phase around that area, which further emphasized the level of indecision going on at that point in time. And in fact, you could call it an uptrend continuation pattern, as you will see that we have a look at the nature of this candle right here. Sharp rejection of the $70.60 level, closing with an hammer candle, which further emphasized the strength of the buyers around that area. Now let's scale down into the 1 hour time frame where we will now see things more clearly. So on the 1 hour time frame, what I did here is to see how market participants are started this week, and in fact the week has started on a positive note as we saw some deep buying happen during the Asian session today, as we saw price started the week at around the $71.96 level, and in fact got to as far as the $72.60 level, all around that our key level, still around our key level. Price is still oscillating within. So with the fact that the week has started on a bullish note, it may be a good signal that we want to be getting ready to buy. And in that regard, we have a situation here where price action is confined within the $72.60 level and the $71.96 level to emphasize the level of indecision in this market. And of course, you know how we usually use our flat channel. Whenever we identify them on the chart, we exercise patience and wait for signals in the form of either a breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. But as it is right now, and based on the structures we identified on the higher time frames, we definitely want to be looking out for patterns and structures that support the idea of buying that asset. And in fact, if price can climb and break out of the resistance line of this range, price will already be trading above the key level we identified on the higher time frame. Now, in that regard, I'm placing a buy stop order above the resistance line of this range, which is situated at the $72.60 level, with the hopes to capitalize on an uptrend move. And of course, we will definitely have our stop losses in place. Around 45 to 55 pips stop loss seems most appropriate on this particular position. So I want to maintain a bullish bias here with the hopes that price action will break out of the resistance level. Now, in as much as we are looking out for buying opportunities, you know how we do it in this community. We always want to keep tabs with the opposite direction as well, taking into consideration the potentials that sellers could also take advantage of this market, as we do not know how market participants will be reacting to the fundamental factors behind the scenes and of course the technical structures on the chart. Now, in that regard, and considering the fact that the $72 area has been a selling niche since the beginning of this month, a breakdown of the support line could give the idea of selling opportunities at this point. And in fact, if I want to sell, I would like to see some confirmation first of all before I want to jump into a sell position. And what is that? Well, a breakdown retest of structure on our lower time frame will give us a good opportunity to join the decline to the downside. And one thing I want to mention here is if we sell, please remember selling at this juncture is looking more like a counter trend opportunity, so you do want to be on standby to move your stop losses accordingly, protecting your positions as buyers could still take over the market at any point in time. Now, there is a caveat to this setup. Remember this descending trend line we spotted on our higher time frame. Remember, we saw this trend line broken to the upside. So as soon as price gets into that trend line, ensure all your sell positions are secured. That is, move your stop losses accordingly, maybe break even, worst case scenario. Now, depending on how price will now react to the structure will determine if we are going to be adding more sell positions, have the breakdown retest of the trend line, or get ready to buy if we notice or see the reemergence of buy pressure, maybe transitioning into a reversal pattern. Then the breakout of the neckline will be welcoming buying opportunities. So it's a very, very simple setup we have here on the USOILSPOT. Let's mark out this level as our center of focus for this morning is going to be between the $72.60 level and the $71.96 area, where depending on the direction of the breakout will give us an idea into where we will be going, at least for the first half of this week. So this is my view on the USOILSPOT. Very simple setup. I encourage us all to mark out these levels, as we will be needing them as a reference point to guide our independent trading decisions. So if you have any questions whatsoever as regards to this current setup, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I'm here and willing to be of help in that regard. So you can also take that time to mark out these levels as well. So I see your comment here, Road to Freedom. You said, good morning to you, Road to Freedom. Trust you're doing very well. You said that area is where I position myself. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that means you're beginning to get acquainted to the analytical approach we usually adopt in this community. So well done to you, and glad that you were able to identify that. So Kelechi says here that, can we spot an ascending trend line on the... Yes, exactly. That reminds me. I wanted to mention that earlier, but it skipped my mind, and that is true. We have something like this right here. We have something like this. Let me bring back my candle charts. I think we have okay. It's quite difficult to get one right here, so we should be having something like this. Capture this. This could still change during the course of the week. Actually, it could still change during the course of the week, so let's be dynamic with this approach. So we have something like this to guide our decision. Thank you very much, Kelechi. I forgot. It came to my mind. It skipped my mind while I was talking. So, all right. In the absence of no further questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page here. And in that regard, we will be moving on to the next asset on our watch list. So the next asset on our watch list for today is the GBPUSD cable market, of course. So we are right here on the 1 hour time frame. And for those of you who have been with me for a while now, been with me on the Telegram and TradingView platform, I did share an update as regards to this current structure this morning. And for those of you who are joining me for the first time, please note that I will be going into the higher time frame because of the short time I have for the Forex Morning Mastery. But if you do want to have a background knowledge of how we got to this point you're seeing on the 1 hour time frame, I encourage you to watch my weekend videos on this asset. And if in any way you've missed it, you can check the links right in the description box of this current video you are watching after the live session, so you can get yourself acquainted with the structure. So as at last week, GBPUSD was one of the phenomenal assets we took advantage last week. Remember, we scooped in over 600 pips on this particular asset as we joined that bullish momentum all the way into that 1.2800 area. And since price action tested the 1.28 right here on Thursday, we begin to notice how buyers have been finding it difficult to break out of that structure. And as a result of this, we saw some profit-taking activities as market participants prepare for the weekend. And of course, another event that affected the pound sterling on Friday was the hawkish comment by the Fed president, New York Fed president, Williams, what's his name again? Williams, I can't remember the its full name again. It came to my mind earlier. His name is Williams anyway, and he did mention on Friday that it is very early to negate the idea of rate hikes. So it's actually countering what the Fed chairman said on Wednesday, where he said they will begin to start considering rate cuts by the first quarter of next year. And the Fed Williams came on Friday to say, no, that we are going to still consider rate hikes as we are yet to meet our inflationary target, hereby giving some hopes to the US dollar in this market. And as a result of that statement, we saw how price action nosedive to the downside. And for me, I consider this to be a retracement or profit-taking activities from those who had capitalized on that uptrend move, waiting to digest the statement and see how the market will react before joining an uptrend situation. Now, if you look at the situation right now, looking at how the market has started the new week, though it started on a bullish note, giving us signs that maybe we are at the end of that retracement phase and that price may want to start continuing the uptrend scenario. And as a result of this, we have a situation right now where price action is currently confined within the range of the 1.2700 level and of course the 1.266500 level to emphasize the level of indecision at this particular point in time. And of course, you know how we do it in this community, especially when we identify a flat range like this. We want to exercise patience and wait for a significant signal to give us an opportunity to either buy or sell. And what we will be looking out for is either price action breaks out of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or price action drops below the support line to continue that retracement that started at the beginning at the beginning of Friday's trading session. Now, with the way things are going, I gave an update on this one on my platform, and with the situation we have right now, the buy position has already been triggered. And please note that your stop loss should be in place close to the entry point there. Between 25 to 35 pips is your stop loss range for this current position here, with the hopes that price will continue to the upside. And if it does, a breakout retest of the 1.27350, which happens to be our key level, will welcome more buying opportunities. Now, one thing I would like to state here is that remember that our key level is the 1.27350. How we saw price broke down that key level last week. Now, if we are going to be taking this buy position, we want to be mindful of how price action would react to this key level. Now, if price gets into this area, it could retest it and join and continue the downtrend scenario. It is very, very possible considering the breakdown of that structure. So we want to be mindful of how price would react to that structure. So as soon as it gets into that level, move all stop losses, secure your current buy position, and let's see if a breakout will happen. If a breakout happens, then we want to be good, adding more position. And if price continues to climb new highs, a breakout of the 1.28 will welcome more buy positions for us. So this is how we capitalize on buying opportunities for the first half of this week. However, if it so happens that we get taken out of these buy positions in such a way that price action breaks down the support line at the 1.26650 level, then we might be seeing a continuation of that retracement phase. And of course, we do want to be on standby to capitalize on that opportunity. And if price continues to drop, remember, for those who had watched my video on the GBPUSD, remember we have a level at the 1.26 area, which of course also shares a confluence with that ascending trend line we identified on the higher time frame. Now, if price gets into that level, move your stop losses accordingly, secure your positions, and let's wait to see how the market would react to that level. Are we going to be seeing buy pressure that will incite an uptrend, or price may break down to retest the structure and incite a downtrend scenario? But trust me, I will definitely be with you on both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates as at when due. So this is my simple view on the GBPUSD. At this juncture, I remain very bullish here, looking out for opportunities above the 1.27, 1.27350 to join that uptrend situation. But if it so happens that price drops down, we of course want to be on standby to capitalize on that move. If you have any questions whatsoever as regards to this current setup, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So in that regard, I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds off to see if there are any questions, after which we move on to the next asset on our watch list. All right, I see your comment, Forex Master. Thank you very much. Thanks for the compliment. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page here, and in that regard, let's move on to the final and last asset on our watch list for today. So the last asset on my watch list for today is my favorite asset. In fact, that is the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And in fact, we're beginning to see some interesting situation unfold on this current chart. And in fact, it's looking a little bit similar to what we saw on the GBPUSD. Now, I want to reiterate here, if you had not watched my weekend videos on the XAUUSD, please go ahead and watch that video, as it will give you a background knowledge of how we actually got to this point in this market. And like I said earlier, the links to those videos are situated right in the description box of this current video, so you want to be checking them out after the live session. So on the 1 hour time frame, XAUUSD this morning, we're beginning to see some deep buying situations happen during the Asian session, as the US dollar during the early hours of today witnessed some slight decline in price movement. Now, in addition to this, the geopolitical tensions and concerns about a potential recession are likely to favor safe haven assets such as the gold. Now, the overall fundamental landscape appears to be supporting a bullish outlook at this particular point in time, indicating that the XAUUSD is likely to trend towards the upside. However, the strong risk appetite in global equity markets is limiting the potentials to the upside here, so we need to be very, very, very cautious. And in light of this dynamic market situation, we want to be having levels that will definitely guide our trading decisions for today's trading session. And in that regard, I was able to spot a couple of parameters which we will be using to guide our decision. Now, one of them, for those of you who had watched my weekend videos on the XAUUSD, remember that we had this descending trend line marked out on the higher time frame, which was broken out of last week Wednesday. We saw how price broke out of the structure last week. And from a technical standpoint, when price action breaks out of a structure such as this, we expect that some point in time, price may come back, retest the structure to incite an uptrend continuation. Now, look at what happened last week's trading session. On Friday of last week, we saw that as soon as price action got into the trend line, we saw some sharp rejection of that area, giving us signs that buyers are still present in this market. And fast forward to what happened at the beginning of the week, we saw how price started the week around the $2,016.10 level, giving us a new support line to work with for this week. And in fact, we saw the momentum rise into the $2,024.80 level, where we begin to notice selling pressure resume here in the last 4, 5, 6 hours. Now price has been finding selling pressure here, giving us clues that buyers are finding a very strong barrier around that area. Now, in that regard, we have a flat channel to work with, which will be guiding our trading decision for today. As you will see, price is currently confined within the $2,024.80 level and the $2,016.10 area, to emphasize the level of indecision in this market. And you do know how we use this kind of flat channel in our community. We exercise patience and wait for either the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell, or the breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy. Now, as it is right now, I already have a buy position triggered, and I'm just hoping that price action will continue to the upside here. But if it takes us out, it's no problem. The week is still very, very early. Remember how we usually do in this community. We want to stay persistent with our approach in taking advantage of opportunity. Even if we get taken out, we still have chances and opportunities to recoup the loss we incurred at the beginning of the week if it happens. So we are in alignment. We are in alignment with our plans for today. Now, with the situation we have right now, buy positions has already been triggered, and I do hope you have your stop losses in place. About 55 to 60 pips or 65 pips maximum seems most appropriate for this one. And if this momentum continues to the upside, then another breakout of the 2030 will be welcoming more buy positions. So I already have a buy stop order as well above the $2,030 level, which happens to be our key level for this week. So let's see how the market will play out here. And based on the factors I mentioned earlier, everything is supporting a bullish outlook for the XAUUSD. But remember that we still look forward to some key economic features from the United States during the course of the week. Let me share with you so that you can have an idea. Look at this. We have the core personal consumption expenditure coming in on Thursday. Then we have the consumer confidence and, of course, existing home sales on Wednesday. And finally, on Friday, we are looking out for the Michigan consumer sentiment, which is also an inflationary data that will be guiding our decisions. So in that regard, we might likely be seeing some choppy situations. So let's keep all this in mind while we continue to monitor price action. But trust me, I will definitely be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates as at when due. Now, if price action, despite the bullish expectations we have here, remember we cannot ignore the potentials of sellers as well. Now, if price action drops and breaks down the support line, price will also have broken down this ascending trend line, this descending trend line. And if price breaks down the descending trend line, I am of the opinion that we are back within a seller's territory, at least in the meantime. Now, a breakdown retest of the structure could incite a sell-off to the downside. So I just hope you will be part of the XAUUSD live window during the New York session today so that you can be part of the real-time monitoring of price action on this asset. I already dropped the link to the XAUUSD live window in the comment section. It's pinned right at the top of the comment section. So you want to be part of that, click on that link, click on the notify me button so you can get notified as soon as we come on live. Now, for those who are joining for the first time, who do not know what the XAUUSD live window is, well, this platform was born out of popular demand from members of this community, where we all come together during the New York session to monitor real-time price action on the XAUUSD. So you can be part of that session and see how we anticipate the next move, how we protect our positions, and how we capitalize on any new opportunities that evolves on the chart. So be part of that session right there. And if you have found this content and session helpful in making your independent trading decisions for today, I would greatly appreciate your support by giving the video a thumbs up. Your likes are very valuable to me, and in fact it also helps the algorithm push this video to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial to them, and at the same time grow this community too as well. Thank you in advance for doing so, and let's grow this community together. So with that being said here, I will just wait for the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before we finally round off for today's trading session. I can see a comment here from Kelechi. Kelechi says that what time frame is best to look out for the break and retest based on our analysis? Well, I've talked about this several times, and I think you've asked this question before as regards to how to look out for breakout and retest of structure. Now, I would like to reiterate this here. There is nothing like a specific approach to guiding any decisions you are making in the market. This environment is a fluid and dynamic environment where you also want to be as flexible as possible. So if you are saying that what is the specific time frame, then definitely you're trying to become rigid in your approach in looking out for trading opportunity. Now, with that being clarified, like I used to say, you can look out for retest of structure on any of the lower time frame, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes time frame. Look out for structure. You need to see something convincing that says that sellers are losing momentum. And usually, if you understand your candlesticks very, very well, you will know, you will identify these signs just by looking at your candlesticks. Now, a breakout retest, once a breakout happens like this, retest of structure, you look out for buying pressure around this area. You want to be looking out for the character, especially you want to be looking out for candles like engulfing candles, bullish engulfing candles on lower time frame. You want to be looking out for armor candles. There are quite a lot of candles. I'm just giving you a couple of them which you can look out for to guide your decision around that area. So I hope I made myself clear there. So any of the lower time frame is quite okay. Now it now depends on your own individual discretion around that area. So what we are simply looking out for are signs that sellers are finding it difficult to stay below the trending line that was broken. So you want to see signs that buyers are gaining momentum around that area. Then you want to be joining an uptrend move around that structure. So I hope I made myself clear there. Kelechi, please let me know in the comment section. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page, and in that regard, you're welcome, Simon Bayone. In that regard, we want to be rounding off on today's Forex Morning Mastery session, and today we were able to take on 3 major assets, which includes the GBPUSD, the USOILSPOT, and of course the XAUUSD, all of which we were able to identify simple trading setup using fundamental tools such as trend lines, key levels, and chart patterns, only to identify and unravel the potential trajectory of price action, and at the same time strategically position ourselves for the next move. And I do hope we all marked out these levels on our chart, as we will be needing them as a reference point to guide our independent trading decision. So I encourage us all to allow the structures to mature before we jump into any positions in this market today. Now, always remember that every decision we make in the market is more or less an educated guess until price action hits your TP target. So in that regard, you want to ensure you have a well-defined risk management strategy which must be consistent with all the trades you take from your portfolio. So with that being said, I wish us all the best of luck today. And for those who joined me for the first time, I do hope you are able to gain 1 or 2 things from this session. And if you do, you want to be part of the subsequent editions on the Forex Morning Mastery, trust me, the more time you spend with us in this community, the better you get to understand our analytical approach and eventually be able to use the information you gather here to make your own independent trading decisions. So on this note, I wish us all the best of luck today and look forward to seeing you all in the comment sections of both my Trading View Telegram platform and of course during the XAUUSD live window as we continue to monitor price action. Trade smart, trade consciously, and do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye-bye.